Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to SC Playbook, the EPL edition. My name is Alex Molchanoff. I have Matt Jurman to my right. And returning for the first time in 2.5, 3 months, I can't remember, but Ryan Selvage is back in the studio with us. Thank you very much.
I don't think the round of applause is warranted. But no, good to be back, boys. And it's always a good time when Arsenal top of everything that they're playing in the league, the cup, the Champions League, 7 in a row. So, look, never a better time to have me back than right now.
And you must be really excited about watching that forward line play at the moment. Gyökeres, Saka, they're all, they're all delivering. There's no questions about them whatsoever. I'll tell you what, 9-point lead at the top of the league. We'll get into that. Matty Jurman, trip to Outback Steakhouse on the weekend. Your A-League career is continuing, which I think some listeners to this podcast forget at times.
Yes.
Can you tell us what happened on the way to Gosford on Saturday?
All right, so we went to Outback Steakhouse
yes.
in Wentworthville for a pre-match meal. We had the pre-match meal, but we didn't have the game.
No, so free feed. Thank you very much, Mr. Krislovic.
Cheers for the feed, yeah, it was good. And then we got the news that the game's been postponed because of the rain, So the game got paid the next day.
Yeah. Gino, thank you very much.
So we actually went and done a training session instead.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. And you're all ready for the game the next day.
Steakhouse again the next day?
We did, but we didn't eat. Because the game was at 2 o'clock.
It was early,
So just had to prepare your own breakfast at home. And
a start, a win, so all going well. No one able to run past you on the heavy track.
We drew, actually.
Oh.
So, yeah, we drew 1-1. So
was not 2-0?
No, we should have won.
Why am I having this in my head?
There
we go.
Yeah, but yeah, it was not bad. And yeah, good to have you back as well. I think I think you've turned up now because Arsenal had some good results as well.
Yeah.
That's good timing.
Last time I was here, I didn't have Erling Haaland.
Yes.
I think that's certainly changed. It had to
rectified.
Yeah, but maybe now's the time to get rid of him again.
Here we go. Yeah. We're just going to have you in a guest spot every 3 months to tell us to get rid of him.
We'll get to it, but
that's the question.
Stick around. End of the show.
Yes, exactly right. Is there anyone else here sort of questioning at the moment? We're going to get into this classic on the weekend between Manchester City and Manchester United, but just give us a quick reminder of your team, Ryan. Any of the standouts or the duds that you're losing patience with?
Phil Foden's a name that I know we're going to talk about at length today. Talk about buying high and selling low. I think I got him when he was up around 15, 16 million.
I was the same.
He's down around 8 at the moment, so I've certainly not traded stocks well there. But Bruno G from Newcastle, he's just doing a job. Declan Rice, he's coming into serious captaincy consideration every single week. And my back three, there's no bias here, David Raya, Gabriel and Will Saliba. So again, clean sheets, best team in Europe. Why not, triple up on Arsenal defence?
Exactly right. I tell you what, it's very close in compilation in sort of formation to mine. So that maybe he's telling me I'm on the right track. But you've made up a lot of ground since you were last with us, Ryan. You're outside the top 10K. You're now sitting almost level with me, just outside the top 6K. So it's all going well. How many trades boosts you got left?
13 left. So what have we got? 15 rounds still. So on the wrong side of where I'd probably want to be with that, 2 boosts. But I think the team's looking pretty settled. I know it's not where I'd want to be. If you told me I'd be 6K after 22 in a bit weeks. But still, look, you look at the names on that list, and I think there are a lot of players that you'd want to be finishing the year with. You can obviously improve here and there, but for the most part, I'm pretty happy with the 1 to 11. The bench needs a bit of work, but yeah.
As does everyone at this stage of the season, I think. And Matty, you're sitting on even less trades at the moment. So
correct, yeah.
Talk to us about how you're thinking at the moment. And you did make one. You went the Tarkowski to Gabriel. I think I was encouraging you that way last week, wasn't I? How are you feeling and sitting? What is your aims now as we get up to double game week in game week 31, potentially for some teams with the Carabao Cup coming? Sorry, the double game week might come in game week 34. There'll probably be teams missing games in game week 31 with the Carabao Cup. How are you aiming to get to that mark at the moment, or is it just keep trades in the bank?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the team, to be honest. The only ones I'm looking at trading maybe one of the Man City midfielders that I have.
Yep.
Not sure which one. That's something I'm probably not set on keeping for the rest of the season. But apart from that, I'm pretty happy with the team. Like, it's pretty overall pretty balanced with good players from different good teams. But yeah, there'll be a few trades here and there, but I'll try and hold them as much as I can because I've only got 9 left with the 2 boosts.
It's a long way to go. Just sit there biting the fingernails on the way there. And like Manchester City, you kept Cherky benched on the weekend. I'm not sure. Well, it was the early kickoff. So is that what happened? You saw it and moved him off?
Yeah, I saw him. I still thought he'd come on maybe and have an impact. But at the same time, I'd rather have someone on that's going to be on for more minutes and have more chance of scoring better points. So I left him on the bench. But I also left a lot of points on the bench as well. So
yes.
Didn't get it all right.
No, and no one can. The bigger worry for me out of that game, actually, because Cherky's actually scored this morning against Bodo Glimt, another poor performance from Manchester City as they went down in the Arctic Circle of all places. Now they've got to come back. They take on Wolves this weekend. And Phil Foden was pulled at halftime by Pep Guardiola. We're all owners. Ryan, I'll go to you first on this. How are you feeling about little Phil and his potential big impact on your bottom line for the rest of the year?
Well, he's having an impact already, not the impact that I'd want him to have.
Yes.
How am I feeling about Phil Foden? I think last time I sat here, he was a must-have.
Yes.
And now this week, he's the most traded out player. So in the space of 10 weeks, he's gone from arguably the hottest player in the game to someone who we're sitting here thinking, oh, we can't have him for one more week. It's not a good place to be, I'll tell you, as an owner. And I think his security in that team now, with you mentioned Cherky, Semenyo, a January signing, Doku has hit some form, hot and cold since I was here last. And Foden was the one we were most sold on, but probably not the case now in game week 23.
No, and Wolves, this is the worrying thing, is that Wolves' form has picked up somewhat. They haven't lost a game in their last four.
They couldn't do it this weekend for Arsenal, could they?
They haven't had a win yet, have they?
Wolves? No, they've got a couple.
They got one. Beat West Ham.
Yeah, that's right,
who were brought back to life by Dr. Tottenham on the weekend. We'll get into them in a second as well. Thomas Frank under some pressure there. Is there any... So I think the way I'm thinking about it is this is last chance saloon. I'm still not sold enough on Wolves that I'm going to move guys on that are going to face them. Actually, probably the other way. I'm still inclined to be captaining Haaland this week. But Matty, it must be starting to think, you're probably not the one to ask because of the limited trades at the moment, but how much longer are you giving those two guys? And I guess further to that, you're an owner of Cherky and Foden. Who are you leaning towards keeping? Because it's probably unlikely you're going to trade both out, right?
Yeah, I won't be trading both out, and that's a bit of a tricky answer at the moment. I don't know,
because there's a few in your situation.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one I'll trade out at the moment. I'll probably leave him for the Wolves game.
Yeah, hopefully
all three of them get on the score sheet, and it's a big win. That's what I'm hoping for. Got the VC on, or we'll talk about later, but Haaland's looking like that for me, and then I'll give them another week and see how they go. Those three.
How much longer for Haaland, Ryan?
Well, just on Wolves and City, I think if ever they're going to get a get-right game, this is it. Back at home, Wolves, you say they're improved, but like a clear class difference, you'd imagine. Since 2018, these two sides, I've done some research today, boys.
Look at him coming prepared. Fantastic.
Since 2018, they've played 14 times. City have won 13. There's been no draws. So it's end-to-end. I'm expecting goals on Haaland. He's played 6 times against Wolves. He scored 10 goals.
Okay.
So it's his best goals per game record against any club in the Premier League.
His last 3 games against Wolves, it says 1.8 points and 6 points.
I must be wrong.
Or there's been a penalty miss in there somewhere. Yeah. He did go through a run of them a couple of years ago where he couldn't put the ball in the back of the net from the spot. I remember because he missed one against Sheffield United as well. That was a high point of our season that year. Bramall Lane. So it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing where Haaland's going. And just on, Matty, you've been big on the whole Semenyo line. I know you're not an owner. But for me, what's come out of all of this is he looks most likely, out of all those guys that could be rotated, probably outside Haaland, he's the one that Pep has been keen on through this run in games that have mattered. So that's going to be interesting. He's sitting just over 8 mil as a forward at the moment, and there aren't too many in form of those around the league.
Yeah, he's someone I'm keeping an eye on. He's at a good price, and I'm not really too keen on keeping Cunha for too long.
No.
So he could be one that comes in, but there's also a lot of those weeks coming up where Man City might not actually play. So got to be careful with having too many Man City players.
You couldn't be more correct. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how they go. On the other side of that performance on the weekend, Manchester United, fantastic. Probably their best performance they've put in 12, 18 months. They went to, guess what, Fernandes playing in the 10, and suddenly everything just clicked. It flew in. It's like Michael Carrick's been sitting there watching, wanting to implement it like this, and I think the surprise out of it all is Patrick Dorgu playing brilliantly, scoring a goal, still starting on the right wing, and was terrific in that game. Amad Diallo down the other end, I think, is a watch for some as well. How are we feeling about United assets? Did anyone here manage to hold Patrick Dorgu after that run of games?
I never owned him. I know he went through that sort of purple patch, but United until, at the weekend, really. Like, when have you ever been able to trust their defence? Just on Fernandes in that sort of central midfield role, like Blind Freddie could see that. Like, why has it taken 22 weeks to get him in his best position, which I know the coach had to leave for it to happen.
He's going to be the biggest scorer in the game for the rest of the year. I feel very confident sitting here saying that now.
Yeah.
For someone who's been set against him most of the year. Only because of where he was playing. Only because of that.
But no for Dorgu for me. I think... if you mention like someone else outside of those obvious names, Diogo Dalot, like he's a cheaper option.
Yes.
United, I think they've got a couple of decent games coming up in around the game week 24, 5, 6.
Let's have a look. After the Arsenal game, you're right. So they've got Arsenal this week, which is going to be difficult away at the Emirates. Then they go Fulham, Tottenham, West Ham, Everton, which are 4 out of form teams at the moment.
And he seems to be someone that's... I don't know how, but he's always getting some start in that team. And he whips in crosses, and Šeško's found his goal-scoring boots in his head as well. So just someone from left field that's not Bruno Fernandes. If you want a United asset, maybe it could be Diogo Dalot of all people. And then the last question I'll ask you on United, is there anyone from that front line who draws your appeal? Matty, you've just spoken out against Matheus Cunha. Brian Mbeumo is one I'm looking at, coming back from AFCON where he was playing well for Cameroon. I think in a system like this where he's really given license to get wide, because the way they were playing with the two wing backs meant that he was forced into these little half spaces that usually Fernandes is so good at operating in. Now he's out on the wing and he'll be able to bomb in and be direct and really play more as a traditional winger and have the goal scoring threat still that he carried at Brentford last year.
Yeah, I think he's more comfortable out there, out wide, and having Bruno in that 10 role now. He's just going to have a field day.
He's just got to make runs, right?
He's got to make the runs, and Bruno will find him. So, I can see why you would bring him in. I see him going on a bit of a hot streak now that he's back from AFCON, and same with Bruno. So, I think you can try and get those two guys in your team. That'll be good.
Holding off for this week for me with Arsenal away, but 9.5 mil, he's got a 10 break even. I think he'll be sitting under that 9 mil mark in a week's time, and everything being well, we should be able to target him at that point. Now, the big bit of transfer news we need to get to before we get to most traded in and traded out is that Marc Guéhi's transfer has been confirmed to Manchester City. Pep Guardiola, speaking at the reveal, said he was at 25 years old at the perfect age. So a shout out to you, old Soccer Saturday viewers, great age. Likely coming in for the game against Wolves this weekend. Kusanov was there. I think Pep Guardiola said that, these are inexperienced players he's got there. 6.1 mil. Is he the buy of the week?
Oh, he'd go close. Like, if you're looking for a defensive asset, which I'm not, but if you are, you could do worse than an England international in... a team in the title race at home against last. Like, it's a lot of boxes. When you say it like that, it's convincing. Premier League hardened. You know what you're going to get from him. I thought Kusanov's actually been all right, to be honest.
Yeah, better than he looked when he first joined Manchester City, for sure.
And he was paired with, was it Alain, if I'm saying that correctly?
I don't think he's 20 yet, that youngster.
But he also had the keeper, Trafford, playing.
As well.
When he first started, so it was a lot of inexperience in that back line.
It's a good point.
Yeah. Anyway, on Guéhi, great buy at the price, but I'll sit with my Arsenal defenders. Thank you very much. For now, anyway.
Any thought of moving Van Dijk to him for you, Matty? Because that has certainly crossed my mind getting prepared for the podcast this week.
Yeah, I looked at trying to trade out Cucurella, your best...
my best mate,
Your best mate, 10,000 short.
Oh, it's rough.
Yeah, so I'd have to go
rough.
Van Dijk or Senesi, and I don't really want to trade those two really at the moment. With Van Dijk playing against Bournemouth.
Just on Liverpool, though, like you mentioned that City might have a couple of games or blank game weeks. Are we in Supercoach, I know I come from the FPL background, but are we experiencing that in Supercoach where teams won't play on certain weeks?
Yes, very much so. Good. This is a good time to plug it. scplaybook.com.au. Harry West has written for the article, so go and find that one after this, Ryan.
Where's my subscription when I need it? No, but to that point, like, again, if you have Shirky and you have Foden and you have Haaland and you have Gahey when, when they're going to have a blank. So to keep Van Dijk, I know I'm just playing devil's advocate as I do in this seat a little bit. Van Dijk and Liverpool, again, I mentioned looking a few weeks ahead around that Carabao Cup final time. Liverpool actually have some decent fixtures, I would have thought. We can bring them up here as we talk. 27 through 30, or 26 even. Sunderland, then Forest, home to West Ham, away at Wolves, home to Spurs. So, I don't know.
That's when they should be getting their downhill skis on, right?
You'd think so, yeah.
They really have been, huff and bluster a lot of this year without always producing the goods. You'd be hoping in that stretch that's where it happens. But, it's going to be a very popular trade this week, I think, Van Dijk to Gay.
I won't push back, but just be mindful of how many City players you have with that definitely Carabao Cup final ahead.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Matty, just quickly while we're talking about Liverpool, Arne Slot's coming under a lot of pressure at the moment. Szoboszlai, my man, missing the penalty, really would have turned the game and probably my weekend had he managed to put that one in the back of the net. I've spoken strongly about him, but just where do you think Liverpool are sitting with him at the moment? Can you see him staying on? And further, what does it mean for guys like Ekitike and Szoboszlai, who are probably the most highly owned Liverpool players? Where do you assess them as a whole at the moment?
I think since Alonso has been
mentioned
from Real Madrid, there's been a lot of talk about him moving to Anfield now. And, I mean, obviously being a Liverpool fan, everyone would love to see it one day, either him or Gerrard being at the helm. But, it's hard because they've won the league last year,
Yes.
So he's got to have some sort of credit behind him to be able to have a bit more time. And they've spent big in the transfer market. He's obviously one of these guys, or we hope that he, wanted to bring those guys in.
You would hope so.
Obviously, you see at times the team gelling together, but at the same time, not beating Burnley and Leeds at home.
Didn't beat any of the promoted sides at home this year.
Yeah,
that's a damning statistic.
It's a bad stat as a Liverpool manager. You don't want those sort of stats. And he's had a bit of bad luck with some of the injuries of the guys that he's brought in, and they were hoping they were going to just take off straight from the beginning, but hasn't happened. So I can understand that's pressure on a Liverpool manager. They need to be fighting for that top spot.
Does Mo Salah come straight back into the mix?
That was such an interesting exchange before he left the African Cup of Nations, wasn't it? And I think in a perfect world, Slot would love to have him as basically an impact sub. That's what he wants out of him. He thinks he's past doing the running, doing the work, and he's not producing at a high enough level to be able to carry him. In terms of, you just saw the way their defence, which is a funny thing to say, the defence improved when he went away to AFCON because they weren't carrying that player. So I can't see him coming straight back in and getting regular minutes. Do you disagree, Matty?
I don't know. It depends. Yeah. He could be like a fresh breath of life, for the club, for the team. Maybe he comes back and he's obviously hasn't gone and won the AFCON, but
no.
I mean, he's always brings that confidence to the team. So it'd be interesting to see how he is played this weekend when he's back.
You're not worried about moving Ekitike at this stage at all?
No, I think he's cemented up front. I think.
Yeah,
I think Salah will be back on pens though, won't he? After Szoboszlai,
if he's on the pitch,
hammered it into the crossbar.
I tell you what did you think of that penalty? And this is going to be me trying to talk my way back into, this guy's going to come good, because I've given the spiel about why I'm holding Szoboszlai, and I think he will get there. But time is running out. I thought that was a beautifully struck penalty. that just ended up, a centimetre or two too high. Is that a daft take? Tell me I'm an idiot.
I mean, you've seen it happen before.
Yeah.
Fernandes has done it as well, so it does happen to the best of players. But yeah.
I woke up on, was it Sunday morning, and I watched the highlights, and I saw they got a penalty, and I owned Szoboszlai. And it's funny because I'm watching there, and you know how you can skip the 10 seconds?
Yeah.
I pressed the button. I'm like, okay, he scores. And I skipped it. And I was like, hold on.
It's still 0-0.
Let me go back to press it. And then I was like, oh, my. He's absolutely almost snapped the crossbar.
Yeah.
Just on that little run, though, for Szoboszlai and why we're all so frustrated. So Liverpool had that little period there where I think they played West Ham, Wolves and Burnley in the space of 3 or 4 weeks.
Expecting big scores.
He was yellow card suspended for Wolves at home and then misses a penalty home to Burnley. And it's just like... Welcome to fantasy EPL.
Yeah.
And knowing him, he'll go away to Bournemouth this week and he'd score a brace or
That's how it
something
happens.
like that. Who knows? Just quickly, anyone holding Spurs players here? I'm not. I think everyone has moved away. Thomas Frank on the chopping block. Do we think he'll still be there by the time we're talking next week?
What was a pass mark for him? At the start of the season, what was a pass mark for Spurs?
It was competing for Europe. That
and
was
the Champions League.
We didn't qualify for the Champions League via the league. That was the reason that Ange Postecoglou was sacked. Yeah. So that has to be the baseline, doesn't it?
Well, who's Tottenham got this week? That's
Burnley away.
Mate, yeah. If
into Manchester City.
If they don't win that.
Burnley.
Surely.
So West Ham, I don't think had won in, I think it was 12 or 13 going into the game on the weekend. Burnley have not won in 12 going into this game on the weekend. Dr. Tottenham turning up again.
Just on that, though, quickly. So Tottenham have won each of the past 5 games against Burnley, all comp. So they do have that wood on them.
Record.
And Solanke, I think, back in the Champions League this morning, scored a brace. So you mentioned impact players at the right time. I'm not going there, but at 5.9 mil, you could do worse.
If you're going for and there are plenty of gamblers left in the top 1,000 now that are looking to win it outright. Point of difference, there's so few strikers in form, which takes us nicely to Arsenal.
Here we go.
Ryan, Victor Gyökeres, we made the joke at the start of the podcast. There's a lot of Saka holders out there at the moment that are sitting there going, this guy has not performed. I was promised that just this consistent output hasn't happened. Where are your thoughts on where they're sitting in terms of being able to put the ball in the back of the net, and how much of a handbrake is Victor Gyökeres? Because I was prepared to give him time, not in my team.
No.
But, I'll
tell you
patience seems to be gone.
The thing that saves Bukayo Saka is the fact that he takes corners.
Yes.
Because he's whipping in accurate crosses in a Supercoach sense and key passes. If invariably that corner hits the target from someone's head, he's benefiting from that. And it's a 50-50 chance for Arsenal. They get a corner, they either score or they don't. And I know that sounds overly simple, but every time they get a corner, it's almost like getting awarded a penalty. So
they've got a lot of targets.
But between he and Rice, they might not be scoring goals or assisting. Rice may be a little bit different to Saka there, but just having corners at Arsenal, it's as good as almost having penalties.
And I tell you what, I'm thinking that because, again, he's failed to hit the back of the net. But you're right, the numbers aren't terrible. Like an 8 away at Nottingham Forest. And again, because the striker is there's a bit of a dearth of talented forwards at the moment in the Premier League. 8 against Forest on the weekend. He had the 3 against Liverpool, but then 11 against Bournemouth, 17 5 weeks ago against Brighton, 9 in a game he didn't score in against Everton. You're right.
That Bournemouth game, I think he came off the bench and got an assist with a corner.
Yeah.
So, again, he doesn't have to play big minutes, which I think you'll start to see Saka rotated more with Madueke.
Yeah.
Madueke has probably proved himself a genuine Premier League player this season, where he was on the fringe maybe coming in, but they can rotate those two nicely. And I don't know, I think I've got bigger flames to put out than Bukayo Saka.
Yeah, fair enough. One other that's been used to grow value in a few people, I was here pushing for him when he was 5 mil. He's managed to get up around 9 mil. Martin Odegaard starting every week. His break even this week is 21 going into a game against Manchester United. Is he someone you can hold for the rest of the season, or would you be moving sideways to an Enzo Fernandez or a Cole Palmer or who else? Phil Foden's around that price at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, personally, I'm not going to Odegaard. I've got enough Arsenal players there. And Carabao Cup final, still alive in Champions League, FA Cup, and if we win the league by game week 35, he might get a rest. So
that's it. Yeah. Matty, advice for Odegaard holders just quickly?
Yeah, I could see why you would keep him if you've already got him. I wouldn't be trading him to... him and Enzo are sort of similar type of points at the moment. I feel like they're, and he's in a team that's coming first. So
Yes.
he's going to pick up points regardless. It's just a matter of fact if he's going to play every week. If they're going to try and make sure that he doesn't get injured, he might rest a few games here and there.
probably the thought is if you've got Rice, you don't need the second Arsenal midfielder, right?
No.
Unless you're really looking to just stack your whole team with Arsenal
No,
players.
even I wouldn't do that. Even I think last time I was here, speaking of how quickly things can change, Abruchez was the talk.
He was.
You had to have
Wow,
him,
yeah,
and he's barely played a minute since.
Can't get in the team.
So I don't know. Maybe that flips and he takes over from Odegaard, and they'll find a way to rotate everyone through.
Let's get to the most traded in this week. Bruno Fernandes is the top. How much? I don't want to spend too long on this because we have mentioned his move and all that. How much are you throwing out to get him in? How desperately do you need to have Bruno Fernandes in your side at this stage in the season? Matty, I'll start with you.
I think he's very important.
Okay.
And the price now is quite high, and obviously I've moved around his cash that from a while ago. But in saying that, to bring him in, I think you need to sort of
You're getting rid of one of your marquees.
Yeah,
That's right.
I think the Man City double up has to maybe bring one of him in. So. Yeah, but then you've got to bring in a bit of a cheapie somewhere else. So it's a tough one. I just hope he sort of blanks a little bit this weekend and the price goes down a little bit. So see what happens. But I think he's a must on how he's been playing.
I think if you're trading, you're committing to it. Like that's it.
That's
You
it.
keep
I
him
couldn't
now.
agree more.
It could be. I'm just looking at my own team here. Bruno G for Bruno F. That's probably my only way of doing it because I think Newcastle's run next couple of weeks home to Villa, then Liverpool. But you cast the eye forward games against Spurs, City, Everton, United, Chelsea. So Newcastle perhaps a downturn. I know they're sniffing about European spots as well, but
Yeah, and my thing with Bruno is Bruno Guimaraes. That is that he. Because of the position he plays, where he's a bit more box to box, he's scoring even when he's not producing an assist or a goal. And I know Bruno Fernandes was doing that while he was playing as one of the two. I wonder whether that continues now that he's playing at the 10. Although the key passes, the accurate crosses, all that sort of stuff might bump up a little bit as well. So that might just be a wait and see for at least a week. But he's certainly one to keep an eye on. Cole Palmer was moved for this week or last week by Matty, and he's producing 7.4 mil. It's not going to get much lower than that. Anyone else got their eye on him, Ryan?
no, not for me. I feel like, and I could be wrong here, but I think his past 2 goals have been off penalties.
Yes.
So he's sort of reliant. I know that's a perk of owning Cole Palmer, but he's dependent on that. And if he's not on the field, which he may not be for 90 minutes every game, then it could go to an Enzo Fernandez or I don't know who else they got in that team to take penalties these days, but my point is he's not guaranteed to play 90 because he's nursing that injury that he has for the whole season.
Yep.
So no on Palmer, but at the price, it makes it interesting.
And that's part of the reason you brought him in, right, Matty?
Yeah, and I think it's a tough one for him because he wants to play games so he can get in the World Cup squad.
Yes.
So at the same time, if he has any more time off, he's probably not going to get in there, and he knows that. So he's probably playing at 50%, maybe 60%. But at the same time, he can still produce in that percentage that he's playing at.
Mark Gahey in at 6.1. We've had that extensive conversation. Trevor Chalobah is there again. I don't know how he keeps getting there. It's because he manages to score big one week. I will urge everybody away from him again. Trading Gahey if you're looking for someone around the 6 million playing in the heart of defence. Enzo Fernandez is an interesting one. We had a quick chat about him before we came to air today. Ryan, what's your vibing him? Feeling him?
I love him. And looking at potential one trade moves, back to Bruno very quickly. Seems like for some people, not least maybe myself, would have to be a 2 trade move, whereas I could get Enzo from Foden in 1. That's the difference there. Maybe more appeal with Enzo. But I think he's just involved. He's hungry. And you see him pop up at City with
such a watchable footballer.
Yeah, a last-minute winner, and you know he's in the game. He's engaged for 90-plus minutes. So I love that in a player.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I did cross over his name as I was preparing trades this week. I can't justify it just yet, but I'll tell you what, if Foden doesn't fire this week and the price doesn't drop too dramatically, I may well be in for him. Matty, any thought?
Yeah, I can see why you'd bring him in. He's always amongst the Chelsea attack, and with Palmer not I guess 100%, you can rely on him to probably play more minutes than he will.
Yeah, big time, big time. Let's go to James Tarkowski. He's been number one. We've been pulling for him all year on this podcast. 10.5 mil. Everton keeping a clean sheet against Aston Villa on the weekend, whose scoring boots seem to have departed again. But Matty, you found reason to get rid of him. I mean, Gabriel, if you're going to do it, that's the man. But, I guess my thought on him would be, if you are stacked at the back with Arsenal players, he could be one you look at to get yourself away from a Calafiori or a Timber if his price continues to increase, or William Saliba if they continue to keep clean sheets and you do get towards that run. I just wonder whether he's sort of hit a ceiling in terms of his price, or whether his projections have him coming down slightly. I think it'll be all about timing if you are looking to bring him in at this stage of the season. Everton's run's pretty positive though. Leeds, Brighton, Fulham, Bournemouth and Manchester United before they get into some trickier fixtures over those empty game weeks for a couple of sides. So maybe he's not the hand in glove fit I was talking him up to be.
I think you look at those games there, they're not going to be high scoring.
No.
Leeds and Brighton, Fulham, they could all be 1-1 or 1-0. Even Bournemouth, they've sort of been hit and miss in recent times. I know they've been scoring goals, Bournemouth, but they shipped them as well. And I can see why he went to Gabriel, just a goal threat, as well as the clean sheet potential, I think. So I like the move, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy one because Tarkowski is sort of a bit of a differential. And, he got 15 points on the weekend, so probably wasn't the week to do it. But, you need Gabriel on your team, I feel like. As you said, he's got that attacking threat and, not disgranting the move at the moment. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I was going to say you cost yourself a whole 5 points there. Not going to make or break your season by any stretch of the imagination. A couple more names to mention. Moises Caicedo is there at 5.8 mil. I think a value option if you're really looking for him. His base stats have really dried up. I had a quick look at the underlying numbers and the start of the season, he was sort of thought of as this guy who was just racking up interceptions and making a lot of difference at the heart of midfield. I know he's had his injury and suspension issues, but that's sort of dried up a little bit. Declan Rice, we talk about every week. Mark Cucurella, 4.8 mil.
To you, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've sort of heard a glimpse of this, and I want to hear the rest of it. This is your time. Talk us through why Cucurella 4.8 mil is the buy of the week, if not one of the buys of the week.
Well, Chelsea have the run of fixtures against teams that just don't score. Palace, even their goals have dried up. They host West Ham, who can't score against anyone except Tottenham. Wolves away, whose defensive has improved, but they're not scoring. Leeds and Burnley are both in that. I'm happy to have a Chelsea defender who's going to be starting every week for under 5 mil at this stage of the season. There's my selling point. He will be featuring in our trades segment later in the podcast. Let's move on.
I'm sold. Yeah, well done.
Antoine Semenyo's the last one, 7.1 mil. I think he's a fantastic value option up front if you're looking that way. Any guys we're urging patience on here? Phil Foden, I think we've covered off. Jared Bowen, 6.4 mil. Anyone else an owner here other than me? Matty, yes, you're nodding your head. Thoughts, feelings, emotions?
I'm not happy with the 1 point. That's
no, very much. Particularly in a game they won.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they scored 3 goals. I'm going to hold him. I feel like he's too important for that team, and I feel like he always gets amongst the goals here and there. Not all the time, but hopefully he scores a couple in the next few weeks.
He's getting close to last chance saloon for me. Not going to feature this week, but he's very, very close. We've talked you through Ryan Cherky and Martin Odegaard. We've talked you through Virgil van Dijk as well. I think you can make promising arguments for all of those, Ryan.
Just one name we haven't mentioned yet, and going back to Cucurella, and you sort of spoke about goal threat, but Daniel Munoz, he's not traded out, but he's back this week for Palace. So
there we
keep
go.
that in mind. I just wanted to mention Munoz. Talk is he's back this week. But traded out. Sorry, I just wanted to mention that before I forgot about it.
No. Thank you.
Van Dijk, Szoboszlai on names going out here. I'm happy to hold Szoboszlai, I think.
Yes. I tend to agree.
Yeah, maybe, I might be in your camp of trying to find the positive more than a reason to rush him out, but you could do worse.
I don't think there's a standout option there. When I look at him sitting there and I'm going on 1-for-1 trades, who are the guys we're looking at? Let's pull this up very quickly. 7.3 mil he's valued at the moment, and sitting around that same price, Yakuba Minte is just a bit less. Sitting at 6.1. my bank's such that I can afford an upgrade of about 1,000. Moises Caicedo is there. Mikkel Damsgaard playing for Brentford. Lucas Paquetá for West Ham. Eberechi Eze. Like, there's just no name that shouts out to me.
Yeah, Paquetá might be out the door anyway.
Yes.
Is that still a thing?
Yeah,
So he's on...
Back
but
to Brazil.
that could make Bowen back on penalties, maybe.
Hitting more free kicks
Anyway.
with any chance, although Thomas Souček seems to have put himself right in the front line for that. He's sitting around 4.3 with a -4 break even. I can't be talking people into that trade.
Maybe with these guys that you are thinking about trading, just hold until the window shuts.
Yes.
And then you can make a decision whether, no point trading in a Paquetá at the price. Oh, he's a great option on pens, but then he's gone the next week. So just hold fire if you can.
A wasted trade. Hugo Ekitike, Ruben Dias and Josko Gvardiol is here down the bottom. Hugo Ekitike is mentioned at 10.1 mil. So
As a trade out.
Yeah, he's down the bottom. I think it's 20-odd trades from the guys inside the top 5%. So it's not a massive number, but...
Are you surprised that he wasn't taking penalties? As a centre forward, like, I don't know, Matty, in your training, do they grab the ball?
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah. Like you see Gyökeres, he took the pens from Saka. I know Szoboszlai hits them well, but I don't know, as a centre forward, I just find it odd that you're not the first choice when Mo Salah's all there.
It's a good point. The thing that was the criticism of Ekitike, and I think I've made this point in the podcast before, when he came from Frankfurt, was he was this really rangy, athletic guy who got in behind and got himself in scoring positions a lot, but wasn't a great finisher for a striker.
I mean, he's been hitting
but
them a lot.
he's been hitting it. He was very hot when he got to Liverpool, right? And that sort of dried up a little bit, but not particularly. Like, I can't think of any gilt-edged chances. He's missed some half opportunities, but he's been pretty clinical when they've been presented to him this year. So maybe you make a good point, Ryan. And
well, he could be
a conversation they should be having.
If Salah is benched, maybe they hand the penalty duties to Ekitike, is my point. Like, again, someone I'm not racing to sell.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And Ricardo Calafiore should be back this week. We'll keep our eyes peeled. I'm lucky enough I can afford to have him sitting on my bench, but I can understand why some owners are running out of patience there. Right, let's get to the meat and drink of it all. Matty Jurman, what are you thinking in terms of trades for game week 23?
I think it's a hold.
It's a hold for the man with 9 trades. I think that's probably a fair an answer we're going to be getting a fair bit before the end of the season.
You will get that a few times coming up, but I'm pretty happy with all my players and who they're playing against this week. So hopefully there's a bounce back from a few, and I'm just going to hold. Okay,
Ryan, can you give us a tastier
I'll
answer?
give you something. I'm not holding, but I don't know if I'm folding. Sven Botman. Look, why do I have Sven Botman? He was making money last week. He's got a -6 break even again this week. I sort of stacked those Newcastle assets against Wolves. It didn't pay out the way I was hoping with him, but at 4.9 mil, you mentioned Cucurella. It's an easy move if I wanted to get maybe someone who's got more upside in that position. Like Munoz, actually, funnily enough, it's Cucurella who's often bombs forward into the box. So a bit of more goal threat there. But yeah, if I'm not sitting on my hands, I think it could be something like that.
Yeah, big time. I'm thinking the same camp. I've got Victor Lindelof, who I tried to pick up for a price rise while Pau Torres was back. It sort of worked. If he got on the field for a minute over the last couple of weeks, it would have just boosted that price a little bit more. But we take our losses and we move for the most annoying man in football. But let's hope he can make us some headway in the overall rankings over the next couple of weeks. I'm really keen to find a way to get Mbeumo in after the game against Arsenal.
What's his price? Have you got it there?
It's just over 9 mil.
Okay.
Just
so
over.
If you were, for whatever reason, sick of Bukayo Saka,
yes,
or you wanted to shed someone from Arsenal to lighten that load come a Carabao Cup final week, then Mbeumo makes a good case.
Fits the bill. I think he's really going to take off after his little jaunt away in Morocco. Captaincy plays this week, guys. What are we looking ahead with? I think we're all Tyra owners. Everton are playing last on Tuesday morning our time, which is good news for loopers everywhere.
Matty, take us away.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I'll go the VC again on Haaland.
Okay.
And I think Declan Rice this week.
Okay.
Playing against Man United, I know it's a big game, and they probably feel like it's one of those ones where they need to get the win to have a better chance of winning the title, obviously. So, yeah, maybe him or Palmer, maybe.
Okay. Chelsea taking on Crystal Palace away from home at Selhurst Park. That's an interesting one. I've got to say, United have frightened me off putting any Arsenal defenders anywhere near the captaincy this week to the point where I'm going to be benching two of them.
No.
Yes.
Benching.
Calafiore, I'm not sure about the fitness at this stage, and Saliba I'm having out. I'll have Cucurella and Van Dijk back in that alongside Gabriel, who I just can't move out. David Raya is still my goalkeeper as well, Ryan. But what are you thinking in terms of captaincy?
I'm copying Matty. Well, that's what I had. I'm not copying Matty, but just great minds think alike.
Yep.
Haaland VC, Declan Rice captain. If I'm bothered enough to stay up and see Haaland slot goals against Wolves, I could loop enough Bournemouth defender that I have. And worst result, I'd get probably Will Saliba or Van Dijk.
Okay.
So it's not the worst option. Just on Declan Rice. First ever goal for Arsenal. Who did it come against and where?
Was it Man United at the Emirates?
There you go.
There we go.
Premier
Bang,
League
bang.
love stories,
Ding, ding.
boys. It happens again this week.
Okay.
Let's go.
You might have swayed me there because I had set up, walking into the podcast, Jared Bowen, Vice against Sunderland, the last ride, knowing that Haaland, I think, breaks his duck this weekend against Wolves. Stay up, watch what I think is going to be an absolute shit of a game, to be honest. West Ham against Sunderland is the early kickoff, but stay up, see if Jared Bowen can deliver. And if he does, then leave him there. But you may have swayed me. Vice on Haaland into Rice is probably the safer play.
And Rice played just 30 minutes this morning in the Champions League. So they've set their eyes this week that he's there for 90 against United.
Yeah,
and if
game.
he has to win it late, he will. So, no, I'm very comfortable. And he's on corners the other side.
Yes.
I've spoken up Sacco. Rice is just as much as a threat.
I couldn't agree more.
Agree.
So-
Yeah.
It's been one of the great things to watch
Love
as an
it.
owner all season. Ryan, thank you for coming back with us.
No, thanks
Matty,
for having me, boys.
let's hope your game goes off without a hitch this weekend and you're not driving back and forward from Outback Steakhouse. For all you listening, watching, tuning in, thank you very much for your company as always. Remember to head to scplaybook.com.au. Spend that $2. It is well worth it heading into NRL season as well. We'll be back same time next week. And if you are taking a penalty in an African Cup of Nations final, don't hit a Panenka. Good night.